This body is also in the process of negotiating issues with China. I've had quite a few folks from Oklahoma that have caught me and have said, hey, while the world is focused on Russia and Ukraine, have we taken our eye off the ball in China? I would pray we have not, and I continue to be able to encourage our Pentagon and officials across our government to not lose focus on Taiwan, to not lose focus on what's happening in trade agreements. But right now, the Senate is actually negotiating a bill dealing with China. Now, I have to tell you, I didn't support this bill and don't. It is $250 billion in new spending, $250 billion. It is enormous in size, but the basic philosophy is the Chinese have a state-controlled system for how they're putting out semiconductors and research, so we should do that in America and invest $250 billion to try to keep up with them the way they're doing it. Can I tell you, the United States and our free market system has raised up the greatest entrepreneurs the world has ever known. In areas of research, there are quite a few areas where we have government and private sector cooperation, both in disease research and in technology, all kinds of research that happen that have been very successful in transitioning into marketable products. But $250 billion is a big number and philosophically shifts us into a very different structure of trying to be able to, quote unquote, keep up with the Chinese. Now, I do have to grant the Senate bill is much better than the House bill. The House put together a bill dealing with China that is classic House of Representatives at this point. They sent over a bill to us that they called their China bill, but it actually uses the word climate in it more than it uses the word China in it. It actually authorizes $4 billion a year into the UN Green Climate Fund, which actually gives grants to Iran, China, and North Korea to help with their green transitions. The House bill, also again their China bill, has a whole section on it on providing access to financial institutions for marijuana. Now, if you're wondering why marijuana banking is ending up in the China bill, so do I. The only thing I can come up with is, if you're nervous about China, smoke some weed and you'll be more relaxed, I guess. But not sure why that ends up in the China bill to have a whole marijuana section in the United States on it. A meaningful China bill would focus in on critical minerals, which neither bill does. All of us see the supply chain issues that are happening with China right now. We all see it. But neither bill actually deals with the serious issues that we have with critical minerals and rare earth minerals. Some of the areas on critical minerals, China has access to 85% of them. And we're not responding to that. That's a problem. The bill itself, the $250 billion that is spent, actually exposes us even more to Chinese debt. Ironically enough, to be able to pay for this bill, we're going to have to borrow money from China to go compete with China. And I find that a little ironic. It doesn't address the Belt and Road Initiative. As China continues to be able to expand around the world, putting in airports, putting in ports, and to be able to do its expansion through its own system, we're not addressing that, nor even trying to focus on just keeping a list. I even asked for the ability just for us to keep a list of all the places that China is actually expanding, and that's actually not included in the bill. Other areas like internet freedom for the people of Hong Kong that are living under the oppression of China is not included. Countering the Chinese influence in multilateral organizations like the UN, the World Bank, International Monetary Fund, as China moves to put key positions in place so they control these multilateral organizations. There's no push in this bill for this. There's no push to be able to push the Chinese out of our college campuses as they move Confucius Institutes onto our campus to plant a Chinese influence on those campuses. And it doesn't deal with something as basic as agriculture. Now, why do I bring up agriculture? Because the Chinese are purchasing land all over the United States, and especially in my state, as they snap up private land and start to do activities there where they own that land, control that land, and develop it. There is no CFIUS restrictions that deals with Chinese espionage dealing with agriculture at all. And this bill doesn't address that. I see that as a problem. We need expansive, very engaged issues to be able to deal with China. China's on the move. They're becoming more and more aggressive. They continue to be more and more aggressive as they deal with a multitude of issues, everything from agriculture all the way through biotech, engineering, chemistry, ownership of intellectual property, theft of intellectual property. They continue to be able to move across our supply chain to be able to dominate things worldwide. We need to address that. This fails to do those critical things. Now, does it take some steps? Yes, it does. But we're not even debating the other issues. We're not even discussing it. We're conferencing with a House bill that focuses more on climate than it does on China, and marijuana banking more than it does on supply chain. We've got to get serious on these issues for the sake of our children and our freedom in the days ahead. I yield the floor.